the slide, right?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm just gonna add your photo to the beginning.
Oh, there is already somebody in the waiting room, but he's
Yeah.
gonna wait.
Yeah.
He's gonna wait a little bit. Blossom, you're asking me which date works better for me?
Yep.
Well, I have no idea because at that time, like 6 p.m., I have just to check with my husband what works better for him,
Okay.
if that works. So where do you say it was?
It's a meet and greet for potential board members.
Yes.
And then I'll send you the information on the location.
Okay. It's in Boise?
It is.
Okay. Well, I think both can work, but let me check.
Okay.
I think it might be easier on Tuesdays, though. I don't know. Yeah.
So I'm wearing the Hoda copy look right now. So I don't know, if that's working for me or not.
Okay. Are you done, Kai? Can I put it in?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, so I'll just put like this, reading mode. Okay.
Really quick question before, or at the end of the presentation, should we? Never mind. I was gonna ask if we should send out the link with the Google review form in the chat, but I'm thinking it should go in the follow-up email.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
But tell them it's coming and that we would really appreciate that.
You know what? I'm thinking I even probably don't need this one. I don't know. Anyway, let's go through this. And then, so I'm ending on this. And then
Malachi.
do you want to add any, I'll give you the hand at the end, Kai, so you make the conclusion or something, or you're marketing the next breakthrough series, or I don't know.
Yes, I can. I'll talk about the next breakthrough series.
Okay. Okay. But here.
Cool.
Does that look weird when my eyes are like this?
Say that again.
Does this look weird if my eyes are like this?
It looks like Zoom.
Okay. I have my thing and I need to read a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, that's the beauty of Zoom is you can get away with a lot of things. All right, who's in our waiting room? We got, Patricia. Cool. So Patricia's the former First Lady of Idaho that I worked for.
So, Kai, you were able to do the poll with the different answers.
Yes. So
Awesome.
polls. Yeah. Then we have a question and we just launch it.
That's weird. When I share my screen, then I don't see anything about the. I don't see anything about the chat and stuff.
On the top of your screen, you should see like a little bar that would kind of have like view options or something. Or like wherever your like a panel would be.
Yeah, but I don't. Oh, I know, for whatever reason it might be in this one. Yes. So if I have put this discussion here, so I will see that here. So if there is a poll, it's going to be in the chat thing.
No.
right? Oh, sondage.
There's a
Sorry.
polls button.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can see all of that. Awesome. Okay, I think we're all ready.
You're gonna rock it.
Mm-hmm. We'll see about that.
Well, here's the thing, Lorraine. You are someone with a great deal of not just expertise, but you handle that expertise in a very not just straightforward, but kind way.
Yes, and easy to understand.
Exactly. And so I love learning from you.
Thank you. That is a little confident thing before starting. You're good. You're good, Blessam. I love it.
Antipo, do you want to say anything in the beginning part?
Nope, you take it.
Are you still in Hawaii, Kelly?
Yes. Yep. Okay, so we'll get, I think right at 9 o'clock, we'll just open and let people in, and then we'll wait
Yep.
for like a few, just like a couple minutes. And then I'll introduce you and just a little bit about IP4G. Antipo, if there's anything that I don't say that we need to say, please jump in. And then I'll switch it over to you. And then I'll just help to monitor the chat and see if there's anything that people are asking.
Okay. Works for me. What is this opening?
So Heather is not on our list. Okay,
Are you keeping track of people who are joining?
I am.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, come in.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Did you see the answer I prepared for that poll?
No.
Yeah, that was in my comments. That was the text, but it was maybe not clear at all.
Sorry.
It's okay. It was like, I was saying like, I am a change management practitioner. I know
Oh, I
broadly
can
what
change that.
yeah, no worries if you can't make it now.
Hello and welcome everyone. So we are going to get started in about a minute. So thank you so much for joining us today.
I recognize my BCME folks out there.
Excellent. I think we're going to get going here very shortly. If you are unable to hear or unable to see our video, please let us know in the chat. If you are able to hear, you can give us a thumbs up. Awesome, thank you. Excellent. So my name is Kutyu, but most folks call me Kai. I am with Idaho Partners for Good, and I am the communication coordinator. I'm sorry, I have my little one in the background, and I think he's playing dinosaurs or something right now. Malachi, be quiet. Okay. Anyway, so we are so glad that you're here joining us. We have Lorraine Loury, and she is going to be leading us through our breakthrough series today called Facilitate a Change Journey and Cultivate Resiliency. This is for personal and professional growth here. So, you know, have that lens when you're going into today's workshop. A little bit about IP4G if you haven't, or Idaho Partners for Good if you haven't been with us before. We are a nonprofit located in Idaho, and we are here to support other nonprofit organizations to ensure that they are resilient no matter what the times are like. Some of the organizations that we have worked with in the past are Boise Bicycle Project, Life's Kitchen, and we have had wonderful success with them. Lorraine is part of our impact team, and we are so grateful to have her as a part of our team. She is one that, and you'll see this in today's presentation, she is a change manager, but she also is an excellent sketch note doodler. I don't know if that's the right term, but she does a fantastic job of that. And she has helped us in other breakthrough series, take an entire hour-long presentation and condense it down to one visual presentation or visual that folks can really just like digest easily. And I'm really excited to listen to her presentation today. So Lorraine, I'm going to turn it over to you and we can get started.
Thank you, Kai. I'm so excited to be with you all today. Thank you for joining us. The topic will be today how to facilitate your change journey. And you're right, it's going to be more with professional examples, but it totally can be adapted to our personal life. So it's a good and easy Kickstarter to open a workshop with a quote. There is no growth without change, and there is no change without loss. Here we are. And so if you want to grow, you get to lose something, but at the end, you don't know it yet, but loss can be good, can be for good, right? And this is where resilience starts. I like to present change as a journey. And in an organization, not every member will onboard into the change at the same way or at the same pace. And yes, change can be hard. Even as a change consultant, sometimes I want to resist. But the thing is, most of the time, the change is needed to make an organization viable, to move forward, to progress. It's needed and it's everywhere. Who didn't hear the change is the new normal quote? So I won't go into all the reason of everything in this world going so fast, but anyway, the whole thing here is how we can make this change easier, smoother, and how can we make the people involved and all the stakeholders part of it. And here is where change management comes on stage. So before all, I would love to know who is there and where you are at with change management. So you could do just a quick click in the poll to tell us how comfortable you are with change management, or you are a daily practitioner, or you broadly know what it is, or you just heard about it and have maybe an idea of what it is, or you have no idea, and that's totally fine. So yeah, you can rank that from 1 to 5. We have 7 answers. Great, thank you. So sounds like we have anybody that like never heard about it. That's a great start. Cool. Do you want a few more seconds to answer? Or I think we may have everybody.
I think we have everyone.
Okay, great. Thank you all. Okay, so what will our journey look like today? So from before to what I like to call aftercare, there are multiple ways to facilitate the change journey, cultivate the resiliency, and actually make the change happen. This workshop won't be a training. I'm not a trainer, but I will start with what change management can be, share some tips to facilitate the journey, get people on board and keep the commitment, as well as some of my go-tos about change management. So what can change management look like? It can be a process change, a new leadership, an IT migration, a merger acquisition, a new location, a new product, organizational change, and much more. And each of those changes could potentially impact the capabilities or the skill in the organization, the culture, the relationships, even beliefs, the performance expectation, the tools, the motivation, and much more too. So I see that with 2 options. Or you say, that's okay, it will fit. Anyway, we don't have other choice than going into this change, so people will just go. And you cannot force it, push hard, like close the shaker and shake it hard. I'm exaggerating here, but of course, I'm sure no one does this as hard, at least not consciously. But anyway, this option might have some consequences. Or option 2, you try to like support the journey, make the change understandable, give some room for people to contribute and get them on board. Move the movables, that's for you, Amber, that's your copyright, and get there together and maybe even landing stronger. And this is where change management happens. It's the people part of project management, and ProSci says, and it looks really a simple and clear definition to me, project management prepare the solution for the organization, where change management prepares the organization for the solution. So we're going to move to the tips part, but before sharing any tips, I would love to know if you have any tip you would like to share, because it sounds like you experience and you know a little bit about change management. So please feel free to write in the chat. And if you wanted, I would be happy to have you take the floor for a few minutes to talk about that. So any experience on any tip? Oh, I see awareness on the why. Yeah, so true. Over communicate. I can't more agree. Yeah. And before, yes, before. Anything else in there? Feel free, just throw it there. There is no good answer, no bad answer. Include impacted stakeholder in the change. Yeah, so true. Any other idea? Give the why. Oh yeah, I love it. Don't freak before you have all the info. Yeah, that's why it's so important to give a lot of info ahead of time and like hold the ground all along the way. I love that. Okay, so let's go into it. So how can we manage the change? So I'm kind of convinced there is no one size fits all kit in change management. And that's the exciting part though. There is studies, there is models, there is certifications and methods and all of that. But I'm convinced it has to be like tailor-made, like adjusted to the organization and to the situation. But anyway, I'm not here to give you a training again, but just a bit of knowledge and experience and my convictions too. So first thing I would think about is look ahead. We said before that there is no change without loss, and loss can bring fear and fear can bring resistance, right? And once you get that, you get the roots of the resistance. So the first challenge will often be to go back to the roots, listen with empathy to the reasons for fear, for resistance, and deal with it and take action. And yes, even if the change is going to happen no matter what, you can deal with this and make the change smoother, help people look ahead. And once you get them on board, the journey can be a real great adventure. And I like this quote saying, the secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but building the new. Second point, I would say, join the dance. It's kind of the same idea, but it's once you succeeded into helping people look ahead, then you want to try to make them actor of the situation. So once they jumped in and are ready to move forward, then you can build the collective dance. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, but it's just going to change the whole experience for everybody, right? So plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. And then the third one I would want to share is get ready. So concretely, it means have a plan, roll it, measure, get feedback, adjust. That's the tactical part. But the get ready is also for the change manager themselves. And I want to share a little bit about that, because you have to get ready to face that resistance to from the whole organization sometimes. Like for any change, the organization will need to twist a little bit to move towards new ways of working, new ways of managing, processing. And it can take energy to explain again and again the why is this change happening. But this why, you told it before, is really key in that change process. And it can take energy too to explain again and again, even to the leaders sometimes, what you bring to the table with change management. Because it's not well known everywhere still, and it takes change to make it understood and considered essential in an organization. Then my second thing about the tips would be, it's not a timeline, but it's the idea is just to support all along the way. So as I saw before on the chat, you want to get on board early in the project, the earliest possible, like once the project starts and like just the project team is set up. The ideal is to have a change manager in the project team, of course, right? And you as change manager, you need time to dive into the subject, to digest, to understand it, to listen to people before starting thinking about any kind of plan. I love to really emphasize on taking that time to just watch, listen, and before bringing any idea to the table. And as I said before about it takes change to make change, you want to be sure you have your leaders' support and sponsorship. So it's the leadership team, the board of director or whatever, but you need their sponsorship, and you're going to probably need their money too. So it's important to have them on board first. And at that point, you want also to create a space for people to be able to talk about it and build the story and start to communicate with them, and the earliest possible again. Then you want to support along the way. So once the project is starting, you want to be on board with the project team. Never stop informing people, communicate, hold the ground, be as transparent as possible. I always say in communication that I like better to say what we can say, even if it's a little bit, instead of not saying anything because we feel like we're not ready to package a communication that is satisfying, or whatever the good word is. But I really think that it's better to say what you can say all along the way, even if it's to say, we're not so sure about that yet, but we want to take that direction, and here's the whole idea. And once the why is understood and the target is very clear, I'm really convinced about the co-design thing. So I think we have to be honest on that. Usually the frame of the where we want to go and why we want to go is pretty set up, and there is not always room for people to challenge that part, but definitely you want to get them involved in the how we get there. And I'm definitely convinced about that. The more you empower people and get them on board and give them the floor on the how we get there, then they become actors, and they become agents of change. And they're going to be your first ambassadors, and this is going to be so easier for everybody. You want to take action, concrete actions, and show your results and get feedback and adjust. This is this continuous improvement thing that I love to emphasize too in change management. You're going to have to deal with resistance to get closer to the skeptics and those who clearly don't want to go. But as I said before about the movables, don't forget them, because they're going to make the group move on. And the third point is ideally plan an aftercare. Celebrate. You want to celebrate, and the little successes along the way, and celebrate like the go live, even if it's not, I'm not sure I've already seen a project that is perfectly packaged and ready to go the day of the go live, but that's not, the people work hard and they need this celebration on the go live, even if there are going to be a lot of adjustments still after. But then try not to leave the boat too early, stick with people, continue to hold the ground, communicate. And again, this improvement circle, like get feedback and analyze what you've done, every single action, and adjust all along the way. I guess that's it on the tips part. Do you have any questions or comment before I go to my go-tos? Can change happen effectively in an organization from the ground up? We typically see top-down change. Okay. So you'll tell me if I get it, if I get the question well, but I'll share an experience. So I used to get that mission in a retail company in France as a consultant. So for the big picture, it would be like, I don't know, Alberton or Walmart here. They used to have so big transformation project, like an IT migration would be a 6-year project. And they were pretty good at making them complex and big and hard to move on, right? And with a lot of people involved. But that's the size of the company does that too, right? But it was big projects. And as you're saying, it was usually top down, like people on the top would decide about that change, and it would be in the overall group strategy, right? And then they would hire a consultant to build that awesome PowerPoint communication and change management plan and just roll it up and get the manager on board, though that was part of the good things, but then kind of forced the things. And my best experience with them was when in an IT department, a new IT manager came and saw the thing totally differently. So the transformation project was to change the whole IT department organization, more as a service, more partner with business, like the whole culture was kind of changing. And instead of launching a new project, like from top to bottom and just saying, here is how it's going to work and you're going to roll it. Well, they started from scratch, just saying, here's the frame. We want you in, and we want you in now. So we prepared. So let's say the frame is divided in 10 topics. We want you to volunteer to jump in each of those topics and just work on it with a group of people. And so it started small with like, I don't know, maybe 20-ish people involved. It was an IT department of close to 1,000 people. So 20 and 30, and then they saw that it was real, that we were really listening to what people were coming up with. And the organization behind was pretty strong. There was those group, in each group there was a leader, and all the leader would have a governance thing, like meeting every every week, and then they would have a process to present to the leadership team of the IT department what they came up with, and like they were sharing the decisions, and they needed the stamp from them, but it was not seen as a validation process. I don't know if that makes sense. And it ended up with like 150 agents of change just in there. And concretely, the organization gave time to those people to do that too. Like if it was not compatible with their day-to-day work, they would organize things so they could have a little bit of time dedicated to that. And it was really part of their job description somewhere. And it really rocked. Like it was different. It was a real thing. Like they ended up really implementing people ideas, and it was not just, yeah, let's listen to you and then we'll see about that. It was real, and it really, really worked. Is that answering to your question? Yeah. Good. Any other question on that? Okay, so I'm gonna move to my go-tos. So this is my convictions and almost, I would say, my addictions. And you're gonna see that bottom-up thing which I just talked about in there. So I would share 3 of them. First one would be co-design with people. You've heard about the 3 of them already in my when I was sharing the tips, but I want to stop a little bit more on each of them. The second one is really strong communications, and the third one is keep it simple, unique, and visual. So for the co-design part, as I said before, I'm convinced that it's the change is smoother if you give the staff, the floor to co-design on the how. So again, the frame on the where you want to go and why you want to go there is pretty set up, but then there is plenty of room for people to get involved on the how. So for this, you want to onboard managers first. So I don't know if it's old style management scars maybe, but we see in a lot of organizations still that people need to see their manager convinced first, right? And leading by example, so they get on board too. So usually depends on what organization you are, but you usually work with managers first. So you get them first agents and first ambassadors, and then it's just rolling. And this is where you want to get your sponsors too. And then once you have that, give the staff the floor, co-design everything you can. I'm really convinced that collective intelligence has the power to trigger the transformation, and it's so much more powerful than the total of single and isolated intelligences. Whether it is to onboard employees on a new project, or collect ideas to move forward on this project, or redesign a process with multiple teams, or even manage new relationships between different teams. I've seen example of projects where we were twisting some processes, and one of the effects we didn't really anticipate was that it would really change the relationship that were established for so long. And if you see that, and if you put in the room all the people that's gonna need to work together, and make them like share how they were usually doing things, and how they see they could do things tomorrow, and how they could collaborate, then you end up that meeting, or that couple of meetings, if you need a couple of one, to you end up with a group that is aligned on something, who took decisions together, and they just want to go. You're better at trusting and go for something you built yourself, right? And you can, with the co-design thing, you can address a broad range of topics, from vision, strategy, to more operational topics like processes I talked about, or problem solving. And it's really a win-win situation, because the organization builds quick, collaborative, and efficient solutions, and creates synergies, and encourage the cooperation at all levels, because the good thing with that is often you're going to break all the hierarchy borders. You put different levels together, but you're listening to everybody, regardless of their level, their position, or whatever. And you just put everyone on the same room with the same importance, and everybody has their voice. And then it's a win-win situation. So I just said for the organization, and then for the people involved, for your people, because they get energized, they get committed, they feel part of the story, and they're just willing to contribute to the project success. And you can even go further. In some organization I work for, they ended up training people to facilitation, so they could themselves have the reflex, I don't know if that's the good word, but automatically want to make that collaborative thing more present in the way they would work. Like for even a little topic, they would say, okay, just put people together, we'll make that work. A warning about that though, I would say, I talked about it a little bit in my example right before, but when you implement that kind of co-design thing in the organization, you want to be sure that the leadership is ready to actually listen and consider what comes out of these workshops, and support the implementation of the solutions. Because of course, if you don't have that, that's kind of a disaster. Like you make people think that you're gonna listen to all their ideas and make them work together, and then you end up saying, well, no, yes, thank you, but we won't implement that. So you want to be sure that you have, again, sponsorship first, and you're going to actually listen and consider the ideas. Any question on that co-design thing? Okay, feel free to, yes.
Is it more important to get, when you're co-designing, is it more important to have people who are like managers, or is it more important to have people who are on board?
What do you mean, manager or on board?
So you had talked about at first, like getting like your ambassadors to be your manager. But what if some of your managers, maybe for cultural reasons or something, they just aren't on board with change at all? They don't like change in general. But maybe your employees or the people who are at the bottom are more willing to buy into the change and stuff. Is it more important to get the managers, or is it more important to work with those who are wanting or are?
No, definitely option two. So I was saying that ideally you want to onboard the managers first for one of the reasons I talked about is that all management style scars, like you want to see your manager going first. But the example I shared about in that retail company where they did the thing completely like backwards, even if it for me it's the right way, but like starting with, hey, just jump in, take a topic, own it and go ahead. Well, that was not the manager that went in first, and it worked. So if you empower people, whoever wants to jump in, then they're going to be your ambassadors. And I would go even further about that. You want the sponsorship like at the top level, but you don't want your ambassadors to be all there. You want ambassadors everywhere across the organization, and that's giving even more power. So yeah, definitely it's the co-design thing. The magic of that is to have all levels, all kind of people together. And it's even for a lot of topics, it's just so much powerful to ask the end user actually how they do it, why they do it like this, and how we can make it work tomorrow, right? With that project change. It's the user experience. You just want to get to ask the people who actually work on that daily. So yeah, it's really powerful to have people across the whole organization. If you use co-design, how do you address the power imbalances based on position? So you mean like in a meeting, you would feel like it doesn't work because there is a manager who kind of like shut off the voice of others, or what? Yeah. Yeah. So that can happen, but usually the magic of that kind of organization is, and the magic of the facilitator work is to really try to have everybody part of it with a voice and the same level of voice. But of course it can happen. And if it does, well, you're going to twist maybe a little bit the groups you're making for these these topics. Because here you touch the hierarchy thing, but you also touch personalities, characters. It's a whole new topic we can talk about. And it's actually, I love it, but it's going to be an answer for a situation, right? Because you don't want to put people out of the thing just because they're not listening to others. It's going to be a mix. For me, it's going to be a mix of facilitator tactics, twisting a little bit the group if it's not a good energy in there, or maybe highlight more the people that are not heard here somewhere else in another way. Yeah, it can be a lot of different answers. I don't know if that makes sense. But you're right, it can be a lot of, it can be disturbing for people if they've never experienced it. And if you are in a kind of old style organization, like where manager has the voice first and then maybe others. But it's good to shake that a little bit. And usually the good thing with co-design is that you ended up with quick solutions and you see the result pretty quickly, like people are aligned, decisions are made, action plans are there. And so it's a good thing to like convince people in a pretty short term. Okay, I'm going to move to the communication thing. So you want to get people informed, reassured, aligned all along the way. And it's going to help daily to make your project more understandable and give meaning to that change. Again, it is the why thing. And this will create the trust and the commitment, right? Because you don't buy what you don't understand. So the first thing is you want people to understand and start there. And then you want to create, from there, you want to create a unique story, get people on the same page and give meaning to that change. So again, with this top bottom and bottom top thing, for me, communication has to be a 360. Like, you don't want only the voice of the leadership. You want to create the space for people to talk. You want to share user stories. You want to highlight stakeholders. You want to share client interviews and be sure that everybody has a voice. So in the co-design thing, they can have a voice, but also in the communication thing, like even if it's the newsletter, you don't want just to have the leadership voice. If it's a video where you want to highlight this little part of project because they did an awesome job and you want to highlight that. So yeah, a 360 communication thing. Also, you want to be consistent. You want to be sure people have the good and same level of information always. And as I said before, be as transparent as possible. I talked a little bit about the ambassadors. So here is the thing. You want to have your network of ambassadors. They're going to be the driving forces to pitch the project, to onboard new people, the skeptics. They're going to help you on that. And you want to make them accountable and proud to be part of that tribe. They're going to be your best spokespersons after that. You just want to get them prepared and give them the means to do that. So concretely in a communication plan, I would usually try to plan, I'm losing my words, like kind of a brief, a monthly brief, for example, like the updates, the highlights, the next steps, what you want to say, the one page pitch for the month, and all the ambassadors would get that and be sure that they're aligned on that. They have the good level of information first, so they can contribute to that communication. So a little bit more about the communication plan. You want to be sure that you're going to address all your audiences from the staff, all the stakeholders, and to external people, the market, if there is any consequence, if I can say, on the outside, on the environment of the company. And then you want to have maybe a special way to communicate for the business partners, and then the leadership will have to have a kind of follow-up, who's going to be probably different too. And so, yeah, consider all your audiences and then create or use the relevant channels. You don't want to recreate, but capitalize if the organization has some. And from there, you're going to set up routines and just keep people on board and make them want to go and get the information, but also bring information to them. Does that make sense? Any questions on the communication part? Okay, thank you, Blossom. Okay, so let's keep to my little drug, this visual thinking thing. So I talked about the simple and unique story consistency. I would just say a word again about the overall pitch that you want to be consistent. You want to choose your voice, your words, your tone. This is for Jill, who is working with us in Idaho Partners for Good. She's an expert in that, like building your voice and your word dictionary or your vocabulary, and keep it from there. And if it's a project that will at some point resonate externally, as I said before, you want to address this external audience, but pamper your first audience, and it's your people always. They're your first ambassadors. We all heard about stories where employees heard about some news about the company in the media, right? And that can't happen. I mean, it's just so bad for the culture and the internal, balance. And this is even more true in crisis situations, right? Crisis, you're gonna go fast on your communications, but still you want to have your first audience. You want to have your internal people as your first audience. And here we come with the power of visual. I'm pretty convinced about that, whether it is to wrap up ideas, to tell a story, to share a concept, a strategy, or a project 101, to facilitate collaborative meetings too. I talked about the co-design thing before. Well, the visual is very powerful in those situations. I used to just fill up all the walls of a room and just gather idea, put them together, and at the end you just take a picture of that and you have it. And whether it is also to help comprehension, and buy-in for any complex topic, it is so powerful to digest and reword the info and share it as a one-pager wrap-up, an infography with keywords, ideas, concept. It helps to give the big picture. It helps to take a step back, to share the highlights, and it is really memorable. Even if you're not talking to only visual people, it's gonna help to have this one pager. And I'm thinking about 3 situations where I discovered it was really powerful. So I talked about the workshop facilitation. So whether you have small groups or a big group, you just take a bunch of butcher paper and sticky notes, and the whole story of the meeting is in there, from the icebreaker to start the meeting to the debrief at the end. And it makes people active. They all contribute to fill the walls, and that really works well. Whether it is to, the second example I have, is to help comprehension. I remember my first sketchnoting thing where it didn't have to be neat or anything, but when I started as a consultant, I would, the first brief of any client, sometimes they know they need something, but that they didn't really frame it already. And they kind of need you for that. And so that first meeting can be sometimes a little messy. And if you're able to visualize and say, okay, so to sum up, to wrap up, so your need is that, your audience is that, you want to get there in this timeline. And if you put all that in just one page and say, is it that? They'll be like, yeah, totally. And you get aligned on that, and it's a good Kickstarter, right? And another example, which is actually a good win-win situation for for everybody to save some time. It's I remember working with a supply manager, and he wanted to he needed to present a new project to like the board of directors. And in this situation, everybody's back to back. They have 10 minutes to speak and convince people all around the table. And he wanted it to be a little different. And he was a little bit stressed out about that. So I thought, instead of starting a deck and have like 24 version of it, because he's gonna probably like stop on the first slide saying, that's not the word I want to use. And, you're kind of trying to go ahead and have the big picture, right? So if you start with that big picture, making kind of a storyboard you would make for, I don't know, a video or anything, you make little bubbles, and you say, so here would be the first step. And then the link to the second would be that. And in second, we could talk about that. And if we focus on that, then we can go to the next slide. And on this slide, we would say this, and actually we would stop on that one and make a dedicated slide to focus on that topic. And so then we can switch on that. And instead of starting the deck, you just don't start anything and try to build this storyboard and get the client validation on that storyboard. Then it can be really, really powerful too. So after that, you kind of everybody's that you're all aligned, and you can work on the deck without 24 versions or anything. I'm going a little bit out of the change situation, but it's an example where like the visual can be really powerful. And then the last example, of course, is that powerful visual recap you can do for any talk, conference, seminar, where you're going to highlight the key ideas, make them understandable, memorable, and it has something emotional too that works. That's going to talk to a lot of people too. It's you kind of relive the event, or the talk or the team building situation where you're going through that one pager, and so it's going to have something powerful too for the team building thing. So on that one, that was just a few of my go-tos, and I would love to hear about yours, because I'm sure you have some. Don't be shy.
Hi, I'm going to go ahead and talk. So,
Yeah.
So I work at Micron Technology, and we have some big, huge change management things that come through. And one of our go-tos for me and for seeing how they roll things out is definitely getting the people on board that are involved in the day-to-day, because when you skip those people, they're the ones that fight it the most, and they're the ones that are going to have to do the most work, because a lot of times that software program or whatever it is what it's going to disrupt them. And so you get all the managers on board and everybody's gung-ho, but if you don't have them on board, then it's a fight. So one of the major things we do is really get the people who are going to be having to do the work on board.
Yeah, I love that.
Can.
I love that. And you have at Micron too a strong champions thing, right?
Yes.
I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but it's having also those people like.
Yeah, it's a whole group of people, and that's what they do. They're in there to get everybody together and really to visualize it and be on board with it and really be excited about it and keep that excitement and all the way down to the people who have to do all the work, really.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the excitement. I like that. That's so true.
I don't know if this is like my go-to, but just having been through lots of changes before, I just think I cannot overemphasize how important it was for me and for a lot of other folks, for the early communication. Just even like a mass email to everybody saying, hey, this is something we're even talking about considering, because I know in the past, even when there were really, really good ideas, where the organization was definitely going to benefit from it if we made this change, if we weren't told about it till like way later, say this is now December and they'll say, oh, we started working on this in January, I think more people's feelings are hurt.
Yeah.
They didn't know that something was coming up, rather than, just having known from the very beginning that this might be something that is in the works.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I love that. And it actually made me think about, I just want to twist a little bit what I said about that. Jump in early and communicate the earliest possible and hold the ground. Yes, 100% yes. And you don't want to make an announcement effect either if you're not quite sure about it, right? I was saying be as transparent as possible and say what you can say, even if it's not the whole thing yet. I would have put a little twist into that, just because I also heard stories about, like, everybody knows a big change is coming. They're doing a big announcement about that and saying in 3 months, you're going to know more. And then 3 months after, they're like, oops, sorry, we're not ready at all. And so like people start like freaking out. So yes, hold the ground, early communications and everything, but kind of be prepared about what's the next step. Anyone else want to jump in?
Yes,
Yes.
I got maybe a kind of a question, and I just wonder about, like, how is there a benefit in bringing folks in before the decision is made?
I'm not sure I would risk something, an answer on that, because I think this would be awesome, again, if the leadership is ready to listen to that. I'm sure it would be a awesome and great experience, but I feel like I was not talking about that because I feel like that's not the majority of the situations, right? We're still we are still in some kind of organization where the decisions are made somewhere, and then where I feel like where we can start changing the minds and getting this co-design and co-building thing is right after. But yeah, definitely if it's doable, yeah, definitely. If like I'm circling back with that user experience thing. If we think that we want to go there, but we want to have user experience first, yeah, totally. Does that answer?
I would just say also I think it depends on the culture of the organization.
Exactly, yeah.
If the culture is such that they are used to going to the front line or the end user, then going to them about it before you start making those decisions has a lot to do with whether your culture is whether that's your culture or not.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that tension between profitability and people. That tension where you have leaders who are going to fall on one side or the other instead of try to hold the tension of the two.
Yeah, totally. Did I answer to your question, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
You did, and definitely the culture thing is kind of the bigger piece. I don't have a lot of experience in working in the for-profit world, a lot of nonprofit or other organizations where there's more of that kind of culture, more of that opportunity to do that. And I've seen some benefit, but also some you kind of corner yourself sometimes in trying to make that change. So I was just kind of curious in that perspective, and thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Anyone else who wants to? It can be in the chat if you don't want to talk. Oh, do you incentivize your frontline to engage? Sorry, help me on that. What do you mean? Like,
So Carla was talking about Micron, and I wondered in regards to getting people on the front line and engaged, do you ever have to incentivize them?
so I would love to have your answer first, Carla.
So it's tough because it comes top down, right? It always comes top down, because they buy into the change and buy the software and buy what we're going to do, and then we have to make it roll out. So what happens is to incentivize, our incentivizing is basically just explaining the win, what it's going to bring to them in the end, because it's going to be painful and change is never good and people fight it. But if we bring it out and say, this is such a win because here's what's going to save you, we incentivize by showing them, what it's going to save them in time and more things they can do with the time they have, because this little piece will save them. That's what we try to do. That's kind of how we incentivize.
But by this, I'm not sure I got this right, Blossom. Were you talking about like concrete rewards or? Yeah. Yeah. So I would say, so same that Carla, I never experienced any kind of concrete like money or whatever recognition, but reward, but recognition definitely. Like you can find ways to highlight people, give them more the floor in any event that would make a standpoint of the project. You would highlight those people instead of having just the leaders speaking, and then you would have the ambassadors getting some information first, like they would feel kind of privileged with that. You would get them involved in some decisions, others don't. It's a mix of that recognition and privilege thing, I would say. And celebration, we talked about celebration. Definitely you can reward them back through that. Like it's sometimes easier to organize an event, a celebration event, and get money for that instead of like buy gift cards or I don't know. So yeah, the recognition part can go through that too.
And we do recognition too. When we have any of those big rollouts, we'll have incremental, the team's faces will come up on screen and we'll show them that they completed, step 1 through 6 at record time, or, whatever that big win was, we'll show that and let everybody in the groups know that these guys worked hard to get it to the finish line.
Yes, last one, Mike, because I think we're running out of time.
Just quick share. I was part of a system change, so a database that we used, and the folks who were managing change did something I thought was very unique, and it still sits with me, where we eulogized the old system. And so it was like an emotional, like, let go of the old way and celebrating the new, and so we all got to say something, that we will miss, or that was nice about the old system, in a eulogy kind of way, as it was going to rest, so to speak, and we were going into a new one. So that was kind of fun. So
I love that.
It was
an event,
a celebration. Yeah.
Okay. I love that. Thank you for sharing. That's a good one. So I hope with that you're a little bit more ready to go, willing to kind of think more change in a change perspective, in a change management perspective, and even without, because it's not a discipline that is very known everywhere, and you've not always dedicated people for that, but you can have a hat wherever you are, and so I hope that helped a little bit. And I did this little wrap up, and you'll get it too, just to wrap up the session we just got. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lorraine. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We will be sending out a follow-up email, hopefully this afternoon, about this. And then we'll also ask for a review. If you have some time, we would love for you to give us a review for this. Our next breakthrough series is going to be Thursday, February 17th, and that is going to be covering trauma. And using resiliency or building resiliency to deal with trauma. And this year, our theme is based off of resilience and just putting more tools in our toolbox to be resilient people and resilient organizations. So thank you so much for joining us today, and hopefully we see you next month.
Thank you.
you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Awesome. So let's hop into the next meeting.
Yes, I'll jump in a few minutes though. I need a
Okay,
little
thank you
break.
so much, Lorraine. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll send you the sketch notes so you can put it in the follow-up.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.